Welcome to Ellie Late Nights, the one show where I couldn't be bothered editing a fucking whole new intro video because I spent enough time on that one. It's not happening. It is not happening. I'm not Ciaran Marchant. I'm Dylan Blight. I did a really shitty job on the Photoshop fixing that. Put a little cross through it. Or cross through the title there. Fix that all up. But other than that, too much effort. Not going to the effort. Not doing it. It's not worth it at all. I'll just take care of the show. Ciaran's back in a week. Then you have it back. Then he can edit a video for me. He's on holidays. He should just do stuff for me. He should edit whole new intro videos for me. In fact, Ciaran's on holidays. Yeah, where's my... Nick in the chat, where's my green screen? I know, it's very odd. Not fancy enough. Don't have a fucking green screen. That don't have cool things happening here. Well, I don't even know what's going on, you know? Also, before we kick into the actual show, because I am hosting this a little bit weirdly today, early late nights, weird things that I've noticed. Number one, I don't think I've ever streamed without my headphones on. Never streamed without my headphones on. Find it real odd. Phone's already vibrating. But it's fine. We should all be fine. Everything good? Now Ash is in the chat saying the audio's too low. I can tell you a story about that. We're going to talk about a little bit of E3 in a minute. I'm trying to be quiet because the rest of the family are getting annoyed that I've been yelling and screaming for pretty much 24 hours. And I'm fucking tired of yelling and screaming, but what can we do? What can we do? Let's jump into the actual show. Alright, the first thing we're going to talk about is Steam. And their major fuck up, basically. So in a blog post on the 7th of June, Eric Johnson from Valve explained that they will no longer be trying to monitor the content that is flagged by its users. For Steam, Valve has been up in the news a lot lately because Ciaran talked about it a couple episodes ago on this exact show, that they keep showing... like putting on the school shooting game and all these weird sex games and like that one game where it was just all about seriously just going out and murdering school children and all sorts of weird stuff like that. So people rightfully have been trying to make an issue about it. And Valve responded finally in a very lengthy blog post that Kotaku was nice enough to break down for me. So let's talk about some key quotes out of this article. Quote from Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson. Quote, the harsh reality of this space that lies the root of the dilemma is that there is absolutely no way we can navigate it without making some of our players really mad. To which an insane person responds, yeah, but if somebody's mad that you're censoring a game about school shootings, you say fuck them. Right? I mean, Twitter is also in the news a lot for their issues with censorship and what counts should be allowed, be that terrorist organization accounts or people just posting racial or homophobic slurs or anything like that. And Twitter also struggles with the whole freedom of speech, blah, 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 bunch of bullshit, and they struggle backwards and forwards what to do on their base. A lot of times I saw a thread the other week on Twitter, and sometimes I click on threads and I see people just write, oh, it was because of the gay pride, well, not gay pride, but Pride Month, right? LGBTQI+, Pride Month. And there was heaps of people in this thread I saw being assholes, posting really nasty stuff, and I reported a bunch of accounts. Just laying in bed, doodling around, reported a bunch of accounts. What happened? About 6 out of 10... I think it came back and said that Twitter found nothing wrong with their accounts, even though I selected 5 select tweets where they were saying stuff that I wouldn't repeat out loud because Twitter is not very good at handling this whole thing. However, Twitter hasn't given up on trying to fix their problem, whereas Valve has. They've pretty much thrown in the white flag of the situation. Black flag because their logo's black? I don't know. Maybe that's a thing. All right. As reported, in an interesting way, by Kotaku's Jeter Jackson, Christian Love, who was a friend, had a sexually explicit game Lady Killer in a bind What a fucking sexy title that is. Removed, even though the game featuring a mode where you could add sweaters to the characters that were nude, and you had the ability to skip sex scenes. Features that were apparently necessary to pass Steam's requirements for what's available. What is necessary to pass their requirements for what you need for NSFW games. Steam's new rule will allow everything on Steam, but apparently give more tools to players to be able to hide stuff, including a section on the front of the store where you'll be able to hide anime games, because anime games are the problem. The problem isn't the first-person shooter games where you're mowing down and participating in school shootings for no sane reason. That's good job, Steam. And quote from the article continues, if you're a developer of an offensive game, this isn't us siding with you against all the people you're offending, said Johnson. However, offending someone shouldn't take away from your game's voice. We believe you should be able to express yourself like everyone else and to find others you want to play with. No one wants to play with the school shooter massacre person. And as Killerbright just in the chat, hashtag America, because it's all about the freedom of speech, bullshit, connecting. This freedom of speech stuff does my head in, honestly. I mean, it's reaching a point of ridiculousness. So just like having Twitter, in case you're not aware of how freedom of speech works, just like having Twitter, you have freedom of speech, but that does not actually mean that the platform that you're on has to allow you to use their platform to spread your message. So in the same way that Twitter should be banning and blocking and sending off anyone using their platform for racist or inflammatory means, Steam should also be doing the same thing and not flowing in the white flag and just giving up. So they're basically throwing in the white flag because it's seemingly too hard for them and is a weak move by them, and these games will continue to flood Steam as if it's not already too bad. Steam Greenlight is just full of trash, and someone from Greenlight just floods Steam with a bunch of shitty games per week basis. If you thought the iOS and the App Store, the mobile games were getting flooded with shit, you haven't looked on Steam in quite some time. It is atrocious, and it has got bad year after year after year, and now we're getting these ridiculous games added. And instead of trying to work on a way to solve the problem, even though it's a hard problem to solve, given that, I will give them credit, it is in fact a very hard problem to solve. Instead of continuing to work on it, Valve has given up. Valve has just gone over it. They don't want to do it anymore. Nick just said Greenlight isn't a thing in the chat. I'm sorry, I meant like Greenlight was. It was flooding the thing. Sorry, everyone. So it's basically just a really annoying thing, and it's a disheartening move from Valve to give up and basically say, oh yeah, you should be allowed to have your shitty racist or absolutely nonsense games about shootings, mass shootings. It's not necessary. And it's the kind of thing that doesn't make me want to use the platform, but it's also the kind of thing where I don't really have a choice. What choice do you have if you own a PC other than to use Steam? You don't have one. It's just, you don't get an option about it. But it is a really shitty move, and I hope someone does something to fix it. I hope they do a 180 on the move with enough people talking about it, because it's not great for the system. Let's move on, though, to a happier news story, because although that is something that has been bugging me all week, and in my first early late nights host, I was going to at least complain about it because it has been something that has been bothering me all week. Let's talk about E3, even though I haven't talked about E3 enough at this stage, really. E3 has been happening all week. Sunday, I guess. Sunday it started technically with EA. I don't think that really counts though, because it's like outside of the whole spectrum of things. And I can't really do my top X games of the conference yet, because Nintendo has yet to do their thing. That's on tomorrow morning. And I expect a lot from Nintendo. I expect Nintendo to drop some really great things. And if we're going to quickly go over it, so far I think Nintendo can easily sneak in, grab the bag, run away, be the ones that say, hey, we actually own the conference. We did the best thing. We did the best job we could. We're going to come in with Super Smash Brothers and own Sony with their nonsense back and forth concert thing, whatever it's called. I can't remember the word. Thank you, buddy, in the chat. Supreme Lever, I certainly am. So instead, I'm going to go with my top 5 games that are new. And some of these I have little asterisks on for what makes them new. But I mean, I can do what I want. I'm hosting the show. I can do whatever the fuck I want, right? Okay, so if you, in the chat on Twitch, if you're watching live, if you want to chuck in your favorite new games that you have seen from E3 so far, chuck them in. We'll see if I hit any of the exact same ones, and we'll compare. We'll see how we do. So the first one I was really keen about was Forza Horizon 4. I know, it's crazy. An Xbox game straight off the list from the PlayStation fanboy. You will find not many PlayStation games on this list, oddly, because PlayStation showed all a bunch of games that we already knew about. So they're not new. I don't care your thing. Buddy chucking Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk isn't new. I've known about that for ages, but Tunic, maybe I can put an asterisk on for certain reasons, but we'll get to that. So Forza Horizon 4, I've never played a Forza game. I always thought the Forza Horizon games looked really cool because they're the kind of races that I'm interested in. They're more arcadey, they're more fun, they're not the very sim-serious ones. Although I grew up playing a lot of semi-serious games. Like I grew up playing Gran Turismo 2 a lot in a full-on built, like custom made. My dad put the racing car thing and the pedals into a bunch of planks of wood and put it in, and then I spent so much time sitting in that doing sim races, so many times racing around that one circular track in Gran Turismo just to get the money so I could save up and fully upgrade my Nissan Skyline because I was obsessed with Fast and Furious. Still I'm a bit obsessed with Fast and Furious, but that's fine. So this is Forza Horizon 4, not 5, as Walmart would have you believe, is the sequel to 2006 games coming out October 2nd from Playground Games, the studio that was freshly just acquired by Xbox. And it's going to have changing seasons, all look beautiful, very pretty, and it's going to have fun, seamless, connected world that reminds me very much of course, Burnout Paradise and The Crew, which are two similar games that have these connected worlds. Although I can't remember if The Crew was always online and you could always bump into players, or you could choose to play it offline, whereas they were very much talking about Forza Horizon as if it was constantly online, more like Burnout, but Burnout you would only run into like 1 or 2 people every now and then. So this just seems to be the evolution of that. And you're going to these seasons changing, which means that you're never going to get bored. Well, you're not going to get bored quickly of the world map, however big the world map is, because they show that sometimes, say in winter, when the map freezes over, you've got a whole new bunch of tracks unlocked, a whole bunch of new stuff to do. And it is that arcadey, fun racer where you want to team up with your friends, you go on the ice, you're trying to score a whole bunch of points doing drifts. I don't know. It looks fun. It looks ridiculous. I think my personal love for and interest for racing or arcadey sim car games is something that's not fully known about me because PlayStation doesn't really... PlayStation hasn't dropped a motorsport since we've been doing Platinum Explosion on the Explosion Network, so I've never had to really talk about one. Rush, I think that's what they're called. On Rush dropped like last week, which I was interested in, but I haven't picked it up because it's like a fully priced game and money doesn't come cheap. But if they want to send me a code, I want to play On Rush. That looks really cool. On Rush looks like a very arcadey, fun game. But my first number one game, and these are in alphabetical order because I didn't want to particularly set any things on them, is Forza Horizon 4. Moving on to number 2, Session. Now, I had a bit of an up-down relationship with this because when it was announced, I was kind of like, oh, it's not Skate. And I had a feeling of me that was dishonored, that's scared. Well, I think it was just because I got myself so hyped up that I felt like I was watching Skate. And then when it wasn't Skate, I was just so disappointed that I was angry for a while. And for that first night, I really wasn't thinking about it. And it wasn't until I went back and read through like IGN or a bunch of other places, news stories, just flicking through, seeing if there was any trailers that dropped randomly that I missed outside the conferences. And I was just looking for coverage, follow-up coverage to a bunch of games that were announced. And I started reading about what this game actually was, and I'm back on board. I was never officially on board, But no, now I'm on board. So, number one reason to get excited with this game, straight away, I miss skate. I love skate. If you don't know this about me, I used to skateboard a lot. I used to be a little skater boy. Avril Lavigne was my girlfriend. We were great. It was a whole system we had. It was fantastic. And I miss those games, and they're really, really great. As far as I'm concerned, they're better than the way I want to play them. I don't want the Tony Hawk's press X, spam X triangle circle, spin your fucking remote around 360, chuck it up in the air. Like, maybe that was fun back in the day, and I used to have fun playing those when I was a kid on PS1, sure, but that is not the type of skateboarder game I want to play at all anymore. I want skate, and I want what this is. So the studio that's created it is an indie dev called Creature Studios. That's CRE-each things. And that's the name of the studio. And the game is coming to Steam and Xbox One early access this year, so I can try it out. That's exciting. At least I'll be able to check it out before I commit fully to the game. And the game was kickstarted in 2017 for 80,000 Canadian dollars, which, according to Google, works out to be about the same amount of money. Unless the currency converter thing that I clicked on was completely wrong, at which point, not my fault, don't feel too bad, whatever's, fuck off. And the most important thing about this game, and the reason you get excited, is because it does in fact use the dual analog skate system. So it's basically someone that wanted Skate 4, just went ahead and made Skate 4. Slow clap, everyone. Like, call it Session, call it Ession, which I first thought it was when I missed the S off the title. Well, call it whatever you want, but it's basically Skate 4, and we can all get excited. That's what we want. It's what we're getting. I don't know what else you want from me. I just want this game. Number 3 on my list. Securio. Shadows Die Twice. New title coming from Software. Now, this is also kind of an asterisk one. Because remember that Shadows Die Twice quick teaser logo that we saw at the Game Awards last year? It was actually this game. And I didn't realize this until ages after after the trailer dropped. I never put it together. I thought it was a completely different From Software game. I didn't think it had anything to do with the Game Awards teased one, because I thought they would have made a bigger deal about it and possibly used those exact couple seconds that we saw, so people were very much aware that the game from the Game Awards is in fact the game that you're looking at now. But they didn't do that. They were like, no, it's fine. We'll just put it out and people will figure it out, because we put the words Shadows Die Twice at the end of that thing, and the game's called Shadows Die Twice. But I'm too dumb to work it out, and the internet helped me out. But nonetheless. So, it is not the spiritual successor. That was a word. Spiritual successor to the Bloodborne franchise that we thought. It is not Bloodborne 2. It is not a Bloodborne prequel. It is not anything along those sorts of things. It is a completely new franchise that does seem to play at least somewhat like the Bloodborne games did, though. So it's a joint venture, though, from Software and Activision, which is the interesting part. And this was announced at the Xbox conference, but because it has Activision attached to it, it's presumably coming to PlayStation and I mean, they put Dark Souls on Switch, so maybe, I don't know. But PC probably as well. So Activision being part of it makes the Xbox announcement probably just one of their many trailers they showed in that conference that were just them showing it to get their name associated with the title instead of having some sort of exclusivity rights to it. But it's exciting because it is directed by Miyazaki, who is the head of all these. This isn't someone from Software going off and doing something else. It is the man himself in charge of it, and this is basically their next Souls game. It's not a Souls game, but I mean, it's a Souls game. It's the combat, it's everything. It's just, it is the fastness. Oh, it even has that PS4. The more you know. They have it coming, and it's got you see in the trailer, very fast combat, weapons look very similar. There's one scene in the trailer where they're walking through a field that actually looks like the field from Bloodborne, where you face the last boss, actually. And that was one part when I was watching it originally, and I was like, is it the Bloodborne thing? That part you can see now if you're watching the video and on Twitch. Very much with the moon up in the sky reminded me a lot of Bloodborne. A lot of the weapons look Bloodborne-y, the combat stuff. But what you get in this one that you don't get in Bloodborne is a grappling hook thing, a bunch of other stuff. A lot faster pace, but it's still going to have that combat and the hard bosses and the RPG elements and whatever else that you love from the Souls game. So that is exciting. And I don't know when it's out, next year. I don't think From Software has fucked up a release date yet. Like, as far as I'm concerned, they've never delayed anything from memory. None of the stuff since I've been paying attention to the company, so expect it to come out next year, I guess. Nick said in the chat, From Software wouldn't partner with Activision if they restricted their creative vision. I don't think they partnered with them for anything other than money for the project, and it was just better for them. I don't think it's anything other than that, and Activision, the franchise for them, so potentially a franchise for them, I guess. There are rumors I saw circulating on the internet that this is a secret Tenchu, whatever the fucking franchise. I know I've heard of the franchise. I'm not a fan of the franchise. I've never played any of them, but apparently From Software brought that franchise from Activision in the year 2004, and then people are saying that this could be like a soft reboot, secret actual game in that franchise, and then they're just partnering up even though Activision sold it to them or something along those lines. Very weird. I didn't really understand a lot of it because I also don't really care. Sorry. On to my last one. Tetris. Well, number 4 actually. I got one more. I can't count. Tetris Effect. This is an asterisk one because they do have. This was announced before the actual conferences, but it was part of the E3 announcements. So fuck you. I'm not going to explain them all rules. But coming from Tetsu. Let me try and fuck up a name. Let me fuck up a name. Tetsuya Mizuguchi. Did I get it right? I tried. Who created Res Infinite and Luminous. Michael in the chat says alphabetical order, Securio before sessions. I'm just reading them in whatever order I want off my notes currently because I'm very fucking tired. I've been up since 2 o'clock. Continuing. So he created Res Infinite and Luminous, and Tetris is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the perfect games. There's not many games out there that you can say are actually perfect. I consider them Tetris, Pong, Space Invaders. 3 games that you can put on various different platforms without ever having to change the base gameplay because it just works, you know? It just works. And you don't need to change much about it. And the thing about Tetris, it's been put on a million different consoles. It's been put in a bonus game on like Game Boy games, you know. Ash is writing the name of the person in the chat, even though that's not going to help me pronounce it, Ash. You're tall, it doesn't help. Jump on here and say it. That's not how it works. I've got the fucking written in front of me. It doesn't help me say it better. But Tetris is one of those games that you've played on many different variations. You've probably played it on a fucking watch. You've played it on a calculator. I don't know. You've played it on different variations of things. But everyone just loves Tetris, I feel. I don't know if anyone doesn't dislike Tetris. Maybe if you dislike Tetris, you just get pissed off playing Tetris. But they dropped this really cool trailer, of course, that has this epic build up with this voice saying it was a Tetris effect, blah, blah, blah. We interviewed people to see what happened if they played Tetris for a long period of time. Very epic, very long-ish trailer for a Tetris game, which you think would be like a minute tops, showing what, because it's Tetris. I mean, everyone knows how Tetris works, but it's a real thing, Tetris Effect. If you Google for this game, you'll find articles about what the actual Tetris Effect is before anything else, really. Epic trailer. Great music, great visuals, and that's what you're going to get with this game. And it's going to have PSVR, which is the most exciting thing for me. I cannot wait to put my helmet on and go into this world, because it is going to be very much like Res Infinite. And if you've played Res Infinite in PSVR, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you need to pick up Res Infinite on your PSVR, because it is one of the best visual and audio experiences, bar to like... It's up there with like Wipeout for me just because it works so well. But Res Infinite has that whole like the music is synced with the visuals and the gameplay, and it all just works so well, which is what they've talked about with Tetris. So as you're going to be putting blocks in, you know, particles are going to be flowing off on the world. Visually great, and that's going to be going with the music, and I presume every time you put something in or like you blow up a bunch of blocks, then you know the bass kicks in, and the faster the blocks start coming down, the more you get into the level, the faster the music's going to pick up, and everything like that is going to come in. And that's just really exciting. It's going to be one of those games that is not going to make you sick playing for too long, because you're kind of just going to be sitting there. I feel it's not one of those ones that are going to make you sick in PSVR. It does have a non-PSVR version, but I don't really care. I'll play it without, but it's just that fully engrossing experience is the kind of thing that I bought my PSVR headset for. So I'm 100% excited for this. Nick's in the chat saying price. I don't think they've said one. I don't really care. I doubt it'll be too much. I mean, I'd pay like $40 for this, to be honest. I think, well, I can't remember the name again. The cube one, where you had to put it through holes and like shape it around, which was kind of like Tetris shapes through holes. And well, it was called like Super Cube. I fucking can't remember the name again. But that was like $30-$40, and I paid for that, and I feel like that was worth it. I would pay $30-$40 for this. I wouldn't pay $100. I feel like that's too much. But if it's $30-$40 Australian dollars, then yeah, I'm 100. I feel like even that's 100% worth it. All right, so moving on to my last one. And this one is another asterisk one. It is Tunic. So Tunic was announced, well, wasn't it? It was shown at the Xbox conference. I already knew about this game. I saw it a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. The first time I saw it was on Greg Miller from Kinda Funny, shout out, his Twitter. And he was tweeting about it at a PAX. Whatever the last PAX was in America. West, East, Beast, South, West, North, fucking whatever. They've got too many. We have one. Melbourne. Shout out to Melbourne. Ugh. So I saw it on his Twitter, but I think at the time it was just like they were going to self-publish it, which means I think it was just coming out for PC, and they didn't have anyone behind it, and they were just going to show the game. And then the announcement at Xbox is basically, hey, someone's behind it, that is Microsoft, and it is coming to Xbox and PC in 2019. And the game is basically made by one person. It's made by Andrew Schuldice, and sole developer who's kind of outsourced for stuff like the music, but working on a game like this by himself, nuts. I think he's like sourced for some art and stuff as well, maybe, but I'm 100% sure on the music thing. I was trying to look it up before, but their website didn't offer a blog post that was interesting to me. If you're an indie dev, make sure your website has a good blog post, about the history of your game. It helps when people are trying to look it up. It helps me out with the things. So if you didn't see this game, it's a cute, cheeky little fox running around. They reckon it looks very Zelda-like. It's very cute, and it looks like it's going to be fun and easy. However, I was reading an IGN article and a Polygon article about the game before, and both people who played it said that it is actually a lot harder. They said they came across a boss and died in 2 hits. So even though it looks cute, easy, fun, apparently the combat's fairly in-depth, it's going to take a lot of concentration. You're going to have a bunch of moves to learn. You're going to have to actually work dodge, hit, dodge. I don't really know apart from hit, dodge. That's the gameplay mechanics of all games of swords. Hit and dodge. So I'm sticking in there with an asterisk simply because Microsoft picked it up and this is where they put a big trailer. But fuck you if you're going to argue. And to be honest, to be 100% honest, I typed into Google, E3 2018 new IP, E3 2018 new games. And when you look at it, most of the ones that are coming out or have been shown so far at E3 this year are ones we already knew about, or I don't care, to be honest. There was not like a big short list for this list. With all that said, Nintendo could come in tomorrow and just very early in the morning and fill my heart with a lot of joy, and that would make me very happy. But for now, that is my top 5 newly announced games from E3. If I was doing non-newly announced games, we'd probably be looking at Fallout and stuff like that. We might do that on Thursday, because on Thursday we're going to be doing early late nights on Thursday this week, not Friday, because I have to work on Friday. And if I'm covering Ciaran, I can fucking move shit around and do whatever I want. Basically, no one can tell me not to do what I want. Like, do you think Ciaran's going to come in here and tell me what to do on this show? Fuck no, he's not going to. So thank you for joining me for my very first episode of Early Late Nights. It's been weird. Once again, the whole not having headphones on thing, it's odd. It's an odd feeling. You feel naked. I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I suppose you get used to it, but I feel weird nonetheless. Thank you for joining me once again. Follow Explosion Network at ExplosionPod. Check out explosionnetwork.com for all the other great podcasts, articles, reviews, E3 content, of course, because that's the big thing at the moment. Give us a follow if you're not on Twitch, twitch.tv/Explosion Network. If you're live on Twitch, Don't forget to hit the follow button if you haven't already. We're early late nights. It's usually streamed when Ciaran's in charge of it. Tuesdays and Fridays, 6:30 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Always here. Apart from when I take control of him. I've been your host this week, Dylan Blight. You can follow me on Twitter at VivaLaDill. And until Thursday night. Night, you beautiful people.
Hey, Ashley here to let you know what you need to know about the Explosion Network in June 2018. Pleasure Explosion is coming to an end. On Thursday, the 21st of June, the Explosion Network's original podcast will play that signature guitar riff one more time as we retire the show at episode 69.
Nice!
If you have any favorite moments or questions or even random topics, it's Pleasure Explosion after all. Throw random shit. Tweet them at ExplosionPod with the hashtag Pleasure69. Or email us at pleasure@explosionnetwork.com. June means E3, so make sure to check out explosionnetwork.com for all our E3 coverage and react. Tales of Theldon's whole first season is now available to binge listen to. Is that even a thing? Our D&D audio drama is available at explosionnetwork.com, iTunes, and all other good podcasting services. Thank you to everyone who's listened, and if you haven't yet, now's the time. If you're watching Westworld Season 2 at the moment, make sure to follow our Twitch at twitch.tv/Explosion Network for Bevanworld, our Westworld after show where we break down every episode. Watch live on Twitch or find it on YouTube at youtube.com/Explosion Network and podcast services including iTunes the day after airing. And of course, you can find all our other great podcasts, articles, and other explosive content like What Do You Want to Watch at explosionnetwork.com. So until next time, keep consuming our content, I guess?